Hi, my name is Marcus. I am the head of content operations here at Amuse, based out of Stockholm, Sweden. Shout outs to the Unsigned podcast. Thank you for having me.
Marcos, can't thank you enough for coming through, man. One of my first international guests. We were able to do this a quick turnaround time. I know it's getting a little late on your end, but again, appreciate you coming through, man.
No worries at all. Super happy to be here. Thanks for the invite. And yeah, the turnaround time it's nothing, man. Super nice to just be able to be a part of this podcast and sit here and chat with you, man.
Thank you, man. Thank you. So cool. Let's just jump right into it. One of the big things that I like to focus on right at the top of each episode is the Black Lives Matter movement. Make sure that we're talking about it. And I think, again, like I said, first international guests that I've had on, and I think it would be great to kind of get your perspective, given that you are on the outside, kind of looking in. Your thoughts on what's been going on with the Black Lives Matter movement. I know this isn't just happening in the U.S. It's happening all over the world. It's definitely a topic of conversation within the music industry specifically. So, curious to hear your side of things, how things have been going, the impact that you've seen, some of the, some of the brands or the companies or people that you think have been doing a great job in highlighting just causes. Yeah, man, just kind of want to get your take on everything.
Well, basically, yeah. I mean, I don't think there's any country in the world right now that hasn't been affected of the Black Lives Matters movement. I think we've all been following, not just in the States, but also a lot of other countries, what's been going on in terms of not only highlighting an issue that's been ongoing for centuries, but also kind of highlighting how to move forward and what's the correct way of doing things. And I think, I mean, I can just speak for what we have here in Sweden, and it's been a huge deal even here, man. It's been highlighting a lot of issues that we have. I mean, it's the racism here that we have in Sweden might not be just as like blunt and like as much in your face. It's a bit more hidden, but it's still very much present, and you can see it every day, especially when it comes to in terms of seeing people in higher positions of color. And here it might not only be for Black people, but also people that aren't Swedish. Even though we have a lot of immigrants here, it's been something from generation to generation thing, but it's still very present. And I think it's, I mean, for us, it's goosebumps to see the amount of people that's been engaged in this. And not only, I mean, for me, personally, I think it's really nice to see companies and stuff like doing the stuff. But for me, the thing that hit me the most was just like seeing all the people out on the streets and like the movements, like grassroots movements that kind of have surfaced from this. There's a lot of people in Sweden that have been doing this work for a long time, but like right now are getting like the actual focus and the voice that they should have. I know there's a Instagram account that's called the Shade Room Sweden. Jeanette Jallo is a woman there that has been doing a lot of good things. But I mean, what I want to highlight the most here, at least here, is just the youth, man, the kids going out and seeing on the protests. You see like really young kids that are like really screaming their lungs out, and like from all classes as well. Like that really hit me hard, just going out there and seeing like these kids that come from the suburbs together with these like really high-end rich kids and still like being there for the same cause. And in terms of not showing up, I think one thing that is pretty obvious for me at least, and pretty present, is just like the lack of presence from older people, man. Like people in their 30s, 40s, 50s that are like should be there guiding these kids, bringing up the conversations, and are instead like kind of bashing them because it was in the middle of Corona and like stuff like that, highlighting the wrong thing. So but yeah, in terms of companies, I'm not sure I have any like specific company like that, but yeah, just the youth, man. I'm so like, it gave me some kind of hope as well to just see a lot of young kids so involved and like actually reading up on stuff and actually teaching me as well. Like there's a lot of shit I didn't know. There's a lot of shit I didn't know was an issue. I mean, I'm not Black. I have some Of course, there's a lot of things that I go through here as well as not as a non-Swede, but it's not even close to what Black people go through. And in that, I've learned a lot from this, and I think that's like the beauty of it, seeing like that even people in our ages that might think that they have everything figured out are still like, and that's also what I think is lacking, the lack of understanding and wanting to learn, like not feeling that you're 50 or 40 and knowing everything, kind of, in those terms. But I don't know, I'm a bit more philosophical in that term. I don't really have like something to pinpoint like that, but at least for me, that's what gave me some kind of shit. This is it gives some hope, at least, like seeing young kids.
Yeah, man, I definitely agree. I think that has been one of the good things to come out of it. You know, the amount of young people that are getting out there and choosing to be out there during this difficult health crisis throughout the entire world. So you have to tip your cap to them, you know, and it's just, hopefully we continue to do it in a positive way, and you know, make sure that love conquers hate. But again, thank you for sharing the outside opinion. I think it's, you know, it's super important to also get, hey, how is this going on in other places, right? What is there anything that we can learn from that and kind of tap into that? So again, man, thank you very much for sharing.
Yeah, no worries. And I mean, if there's something that's been good in Sweden, it's at least the peaceful tonality that we've had so far. All the demonstrations, all of that. Of course, the cops been there, but hasn't been that extreme. Of course, there's a huge gap in how the situation is in the States compared to here. So, but in those terms, at least that's something that I think we're doing pretty good here in Sweden in highlighting. But there's a lot of work still to do even here. Like.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Well, again, appreciate you sharing that. Kind of want to switch gears a little bit here and talk about, you know, talk about the rest of the stuff that we came to talk about today, the music stuff. But let's just start right at the beginning too. Like, tell us a little bit more about where you're from. You mentioned, you know, you're not originally from Sweden. So how did you, you know, where are you from? How did you make your way to Sweden? How did you get to Amuse? And yeah, tell us a little bit more.
Yeah. So, well, first of all, my parents are from Uruguay, South America. And so that's where the roots come from. I actually grew up in Sweden. So I'm more of the white sheep of the family more than the black. No, that's a bad joke I always do, but yeah. So I grew up here. With my sisters, and I basically started doing music when I was really young. Started basically. I think I rapped my first song on a stage when I was like 11 or something like that.
Nice.
Really into hip hop. I got my sisters to thank for that. A lot of Cypress Hill, a lot of Tupac, a lot of Gangstar in the speakers from my sister's room next to it. Yeah. So yeah, and that kind of got me into it. Well, yeah, pretty early on I started releasing stuff. Mainly, of course, like MySpace, all of that. Good old classics. But I pretty fast joined a band. I started kind of a band. Well, basically it was my songs with some guys that I knew, and that kind of took off a bit. So we played a couple of tours. We went around Sweden playing, recorded some stuff, released some stuff. Started doing some independence from that, some hip hop releases. I mainly rap and produce some as well, but and that kind of I've always done that simultaneously as I've worked. In the beginning, I've always been a bartender and a waiter. That's what I've been working as until 5 years ago, where I actually got a internship at a company called Record Union, which is also a distribution service from Sweden. And I got a little in there, was an intern for 3 years. I did a bunch of taxing stuff, like not really what I was used to, but yeah, hey, you do what you can and what you need to do. And that gave me a position in their support team that led to me bringing in all of the artists and people that I knew into the company, which gave me a bit of a key account manager role. And then I kind of took that and developed a bunch of processes and how we should work at Record Union, more focusing towards Sweden and like trying to build that up first. And that went pretty well. I worked with some artists that actually blew up here. that are more locally. One crew that I really want to shout out is Random Bastards. It's a crew from the north. They have artists called Freaky, but also Train Spotters. Really nice crew. Worked a lot with those guys. Also had a lot of friends of mine that I actually helped out a lot, and that led me to Amuse. Basically, they reached out to me and said, "Hey, we need to sort out some of our supply chain issues, or at least make them a bit better." And they were very fresh, a very cool company with a lot of cool people as well. And when I got here, and like the first day I got into the office, it was just like, where the fuck am I? What is this? Like, I was looking around, there was people everywhere, stuff everywhere, stickers here, stickers there. They had like people on the couch working on their backs, and like it was just like, wow, shit, I want to work here. Like, I really want to be here. And yeah, the rest of it is kind of history. I started off in a support team. They didn't really have a content operations team, so I was a part of actually starting that up, and kind of splitting up the support team into two, and yeah, basically starting to manage the content operations team, which is where I'm at today. So that's a pretty quick recap. There's been a bunch of shit in between there,
as there always is, man.
Yeah,
absolutely. There's always a bunch of stops in the middle, and again, I appreciate you sharing. I was just talking to last guest about this too. I appreciate you sharing that things really didn't start to click until the last 5-6 years for you, and like you really worked. A lot of people in music, especially people that go, kind of the artist or manager side, they want to get a job right out of college, and they're like, hey, I went to school and I'm supposed to get this, and they don't understand that it's really just kind of a headcount thing, and there's not always a spot for you. So, you have to really want this, and you got to do the other things to like live life and pay your bills. And I think that's really commendable. And again, something I like to highlight, that like, I had to do other shit before I got here. And it's okay to do that other stuff, because it allows you to live life and see life through a different lens and have empathy. So again, I appreciate you sharing that.
Absolutely. I think that's actually even, that's one of the most important points. Like, there's a lot of people that get into the music industry right away. They study something right out of, like when they're 16, 17, they start going into a bit of the music colleges and stuff like that. I'm not sure what the name is in the US, but yeah. And then they get into, this 2-year course that they study music business or something. They go into this major label or something as an intern, start working. And when they're 25, 23, they're like, okay, so what I do now? Like, I haven't really done anything. I've just worked my ass off. I've been the coffee runner. Like, it's not really, it's so much more worth it to just put in the work, and your time will come. And as long as you're just dedicated and you keep on doing something that you at least while you're working, at least do something that you feel is important for you, or that gives you something. I think that's much more important than just going for that career right away, because it will give you, as you say, so much more experience in terms of just living life, basically, and putting yourself in those situations where it needs to suck for it to be great. Like, that's
right, exactly. And the thing I always love to hear about, it's like the overnight success that took 10 years in the making, right? You know what I mean? Like those people really had to work. And the people that do become that one-hit wonder, they're the exception. They're not the rule. And the reason that thing is called the one-hit wonder is because they don't really last. The people that have been around for a really long time, they worked, and they didn't hit until they were later in life, later in music life, right? Quote unquote. And look, they were able to balance and have a better understanding of everything. So yeah, again, kudos to you, man. So like you said, you've been at Amuse for a couple of years. Curious to know, just a little personal anecdote, what's kind of been your favorite success story so far with an artist that started really small, came onto the platform, used the app, and then like really took off?
Ooh, that's a bit of a tricky one. We have a couple of those actually, but I like to have, well, internationally, the most famous one. I mean, Lil Nas X, Old Town Road track. That was one for us that like basically came out of nowhere. We saw it kind of trending a bit. We gave him an offer. We were the first one actually giving him an offer to
Yep.
to license that track, and we were super close, man. No, no, but yeah, that story is like, for me, that's it's a huge success story. It's so nice as well that it was him, in the sense of the great duty that he is. But and the other one that I like to, I mean, yeah, most of us already know that story. I don't need to
Yep.
go into details. But the other one that I want to highlight is there's an artist called Drelo. He's a Swedish artist from Stockholm. 2 years ago, he didn't have a single release out, and I think this spring, his album, he had on the top 15 in the top 50 chart, Spotify's top 50 chart, trending tracks in Sweden. He had 15 tracks in the top 15. So like, I think it was like around a 40% market share of that, of the top 50 playlist in Sweden, like going from nothing to that. And he started out using our app, pushing some songs through. And yeah, basically is one of the most established rappers in Sweden right now. And that for us is just like, it's amazing. And I mean, 40% market share on a like top 50
crazy.
in a country, that's insane. Like, I mean, Sweden isn't that big. We're 9 million, 10 million people. So it's still like, but still, I mean, Spotify is huge here. Everybody has it. So it's still like, it's a big one. So yeah, that's I think those are the most prominent ones. We have a bunch of others as well that started off basically in nothing, and today are at least a prominent part of the Swedish hip hop scene. Most of them are hip hop acts. I must admit, that's where we've been the strongest in Sweden, at least. There's a Spotify playlist that called 100. That is like their prominent, most like listened to hip hop playlist here in Sweden. I think from catalog, not licensed, but from catalog, I think we have also like 40% to 50% market share on that, or even more. I don't remember, but yeah, really strong on hip hop here in Sweden.
Oh, it's amazing, man. Great to hear. Great to hear. Thanks for sharing as well. So now I kind of want to get a little bit more into what it is you do, what it is Amuse does. Let's just start right at the top two. For those that don't know, that might be listening, that don't know what you guys do, can you just briefly explain what Amuse is?
Absolutely. So, well, basically, Amuse is a music distribution service, which has it's kind of split up in three parts, I'd say. Foremost, we're a distribution service where people can use us just to distribute their music. We have the free distribution tier. It's basically what we were built on, and on top of that, we've built a pro tier, which is kind of smart features that we've added to that free tier for some users that kind of want that. And the last tier that we have, or the last part of our service, is basically artist services. Our in-house label team that basically works with artists, or tracks, I must say, because we don't really sign artists, we license tracks. That's kind of how we work, more towards that, where we basically license tracks that we feel are tracks that we can help, we can push them. It's more in our interest to sign something that we feel we can help get to that next level than signing up stuff that is already blown. Like, for us, it's more important to grab those. We'll basically be able to grow together with the artists. But yeah, that's kind of the basics of it, at least. A distribution service with some cool features on top of it.
Basically. There you go. Cool. And so what does your day-to-day look like? Are you in charge of creating content, for Amuse's social channels, or creating content for the artists that are on the roster? Tell us a little bit more about your role.
Well, first of all, that's a really common misconception, because the title is head of content operations. So one would think that I sit and I create artworks and stuff like that all day, but that's more for my free time. But actually at work, well, basically content operations is how we operate / how we handle all of the content that is going through our service. And in our sense, it's basically releases. So I'm basically in charge, and my team is basically in charge of making sure that all releases that are uploaded through our service actually go through smoothly, are quality checked, are packaged nicely, and then are delivered to the stores in the sense that the stores want them to be delivered. Checking the contents status, making sure that things go live, setting up feeds, basically all the boring technical stuff that is kind of behind the whole processes. That's kind of what my team does, and on a day-to-day basis. Well, it depends a bit. We're kind of split up in different tiers, but the whole team basically on a day-to-day basis is quality control and making sure that things go as they should, that the releases run smoothly through our service, basically.
Gotcha.
So that's more of what we sit and do on a daily basis.
Got you. Okay, cool. I want to go back a little bit. You were talking about how you guys work with artists, right? And you guys don't typically sign artists in the traditional sense. You more so license some of the music. So tell me a little bit more about what an artist would need to do, the kind of position that they would need to be in order for you guys to want to partner with them.
So, I mean, basically, there's not much that is needed. The first thing is that they upload through our app or through our webpage, that they use our service. And the second thing is basically just hustle, man. Get streams, get that one track that you think is the best track. Just get that out there. Try to push it to your friends, make them share it. All of those things are things that we look at. We're a very data driven company, and that goes even for our label team. I mean, one could say that we're more a tech company than we're a music company. To be completely honest, we try to kind of we don't judge on what type of music it is, where they're from, what they do. We just want to kind of find talent wherever it might be, how it might even look, and just be able to help those guys out. And that's also why we have like everything licensed tracks from Canadian lo-fi artists to pop artists from Africa to like whatever it might be that we see has tendencies of actually breaking. Is something that we would definitely be interested in, and it's just as easy as using our app, and we'll reach out. Our label team will reach out to you if they find it interesting. And I mean, that goes for everything. We don't only check streams. We don't only check how many shares the song has gotten. We don't only check how many Instagram followers. It's kind of a combined of everything. Is it trending on TikTok? Is it trending here? How many tracks has this dude released before? Is it the first track ever? That also is taken in consideration compared to someone that might be a bit more established. So we have a bunch of data points that we actually go after. And I mean, yeah, basically just use our service and try to push your own track, and we'll reach out to you. We do have some nice ways of actually kind of highlighting your music. We have a little nice playlist, curated playlist that we actually in the company, everyone that works here is a part of actually curating that playlist. We highlight them on our Instagram account. We highlight them in the playlist as well, and that's something that you can actually request to be heard for. You can go to our webpage and find out more if you want to be a part of that as well. We do it on a weekly basis, so we usually try to feature as much as we can, as broad as we can, as well in that sense. But yeah, I think that's kind of the best answer I can give, at least.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Super detailed too. I think it goes back to what we were talking about earlier. It's really just about doing the work. There's no one answer for it. There's no do this and that happens. It's no, you got to do this, and this, and you have to do it consistently. And over time, they'll start to see something. Again, people like Lil Nas X, they are the exception to the rule. Most people do not blow up that quick. So it's hard to say, hey, he did it. This is all I have to do. It's like, no. Like,
doesn't work like
just
that.
the internet gods made that happen that way. Like,
exactly,
that's it. You can't explain it.
TikTok
right?
made that happen.
right, exactly. So you gotta,
no,
you have to just continue to work and do the work. So
yeah,
well said, man. One question I did want to ask you too was, how do you guys differ from, some of the other distributors that are out there? How do you differ from a United Masters or a CD Baby or an AWOL? What separates you guys?
I mean, I think there's a it probably depends on who uses us. For some users, it can be a very straightforward question, like it's mainly this. For others, it might be it's mainly this. But in our like, I don't know, we're pretty humble in front of that fact that like we know there's a bunch of other services, and a lot of other services do a lot of different things, probably much better than we do in a lot of senses. We're not gonna come here and say that we're the best at everything. But from my perspective, I mean, I would like to say that the process of uploading is very smooth. It's very straightforward. You can do it from your phone. It's super easy. You have access to it all the time. It's not very complicated. There's not a bunch of shit that is like in the way of and that you don't understand. Basically, is very straightforward. But also on top of that, we do also cater to more technical stuff and and yeah, if you want to be super detailed with a lot of stuff. So that, I think that's something that is pretty cool for us, that we cater to both sides. We're both very simple and very straightforward, but also can be kind of technical and fix stuff like that. And I mean, another thing that I think is pretty cool is that, well, basically we were the first only app-driven mobile distribution service there is. We were the first ones launching like you can only upload through through the app. I think that's something that's pretty cool and kind of highlights a little bit on how new we are and like how we kind of would like to adapt and we change, and on top of that, like we saw that there was a clientele or a user base that actually wanted for us to be able to upload through the web, and that's what why we actually created the web release builder, for our users to actually be able to release the web as well. And on top of that, they asked for more features on web, so we added more features as well. So I think one of the things is, yeah, very agile, very like artist friendly, very smooth, but also that we have a bunch of cool features, man. We're very agile. We add a bunch of new stuff all the time. We've only existed since basically 2017, and still we've like kind of outrun some of the other distribution services that have been around for ages. I mean, we have Fast Forward, that is like a revolutionary advanced tool for artists that might be in need of some fast amounts of cash, for like you're on the road and your bus breaks down and then you can take out a Fast Forward advance. That's something that I think is super cool. And I mean, and the last point, of course, for me at least, that is super important, that we have the free tier, that kind of enables people that would never be able to release music to today have a chance and have a shot to actually being heard, putting their music on Spotify, actually being able to create their artist careers for free. And I think that's, for me, coming from South America as well, is just like was basically the selling point when I came here. Like I'm going for them because being able to tell my cousins and like family stuff like that, hey, you can upload now, you don't need to pay for it, and you can actually make money out of it. That's for me super cool. Like humble brag.
Yeah, for sure, man. No, I appreciate the insights. I think that's something that as people start to get, as this space continues to grow, those questions are going to be up there. Like, hey, what are the differences between all the people you outlined? So again, appreciate you sharing. Coming down to time here, only got a couple of questions left for you, but one thing that I did want to hit on too, given that you yourself, you've been an artist, you've been in bands, you've worked, kind of on the label side, you've worked on the distribution side. I think one thing that artists need to do now is really focus on creating content. Just as you mentioned before, the way to kind of catch your guys' eye at Amuse, if an artist did want to partner, is like creating dope content and just continue to hit it everywhere. So with that in mind, when it comes to creating content, from an artist standpoint, what do you think, some of their main goals or focuses should be, and today in 2020?
I mean, with the risk of kind of sounding like a cliche here, but I mean, one thing that I've noticed working with a bunch of artists, both ones that have actually blown up and both ones that haven't, that have had all the talent and everything, I'd say like one thing that I've noticed that's been super clear is like the ones that actually have made it, especially when it comes to not the one hit wonders, but like the ones that actually put in the work and stuff. I've it's I've noticed that like once they actually start creating stuff for themselves or stuff like that, they genuinely feel like this is the motherfucking shit. I don't care. I'm fuck that playlist. I'm so tired of doing this shit. Never gets me anywhere. And when they actually start like doing stuff that they really, really like and that they're really proud of, and that they kind of represents them, that genuinity kind of shines through. And especially today in this like very fast food music type of content, Instagram post stuff every day thingy, uh kids today aren't as stupid as you think, and they will actually like just see right through you when you're like just that generic, another generic artist. And when you actually start doing like stuff that is super genuine and stuff that is like closer to you, I think that that will, in the long run, that will actually that will help you to get that. And it might be hard in the beginning, because maybe you have like this really weird, or like super niche type of a way of doing music or whatever. But today, like there are people that like that. They just need to kind of find you, and it might take longer. The more niched you are, like the more like individual and like weird you are, the longer it would take for them to find you. But when they actually find you, they will be die-hard fans, because they will be like, I found this weird ass artist from the fucking North Pole or wherever that nobody follows, and he's like the fucking shit, and like you share it for your friends, and you're that weird guy in your crew that likes this weird ass dude. But that's like kind of what I've noticed is like that's the thing that works the best, like being genuine. And even though it doesn't work like right away, in the long run, that's what's actually gonna help you. And you will also tweak your creativity and your content and your stuff while you work on it. And I think that's something that people forget a lot. They focus a lot on creating stuff that they think that the industry or the market wants, and they get really good at it as well. But then it kind of comes to a point where it's like, all right, I'm super good at this, but it hasn't really given me anything. Even though I'm like doing exact same thing as these guys do, I'm super good at this. And it's because, yeah, you're kind of in the same, you're in the same space as these guys. Like you need to kind of, so that's what I mean with the cliche thing. Like you need to stand out, and you need to be genuine and do stuff that you kind of like, even though people will kind of look weird at you and say that, hey man, that sucks. It's still, man, you need to push it, and just do genuine stuff that is close to your heart and that you feel is like, well, yeah, basically the stuff that you feel is fucking dope. And if people don't like it, then fuck them. Like it's all starts with the word.
No, you're good, man.
Yeah.
No worries, man. This is not for the children, right?
Yeah.
But no, I agree wholeheartedly. I think it's about trying to figure out whatever makes you unique and then run at that, right? Because there are people out there that fuck with that. That is the thing, right? And it's about going deep first before you go wide. Too often we just want to go really wide. We want to have 1 million fans. If you had 1 million fans tomorrow, if you performed in front of, you know, at a Beyonce sized event, 100,000 people, you wouldn't know what the hell to do. You want to know why? Because you didn't put in the work. You didn't put in the work of starting out with 100 people. You know what I mean?
Exactly,
like you need to do that. And when you start out with those 100 people, even if it only grows to 1,000 people, just do the math, right? Do the simple math. If you get 1,000 people there and they're paying, you know, $50 a ticket, like that's a living. That's a living.
That's a living,
right?
man.
That's a real living. That's how you do this. And then it's just about being smart with your money. It's about taking that money, reinvesting it back into your projects, reinvesting it back into your art, and continuing to serve those people that love you for whatever it is that you're doing, right? And I think that's super important. That's why I wanted to ask you this question, and I appreciate you going there, because I think especially in today's day and age, during the pandemic, like you need to think about how you're adding value to someone else's life, right? There's
100%.
There's so many drops right now. There's so many drops. So many people are dropping music. They understand that, they get that. They don't care about your new single when you're posting that on Instagram. What are you doing that's different, that's going to make you stand out, that's going to add value to someone's life? that's where you're going to win. And it's going to be small numbers. You know, you set up a little Patreon page or a subscription service, like it's fine. If you're getting people to pay you $20 a month, they're paying you $20 a month. And now it's just like, great, let me super serve these people.
Definitely. And I think in addition to that as well, like a layer to that, I think that's kind of a lot of people, when they get up to that semi-professional artistry, they're kind of looking into it. But one thing that I feel like is kind of lost as well is like the merch part, and like how much, like, don't do like your logo on, like, that's,
Yeah,
when you're
just
here,
played out.
yeah, when you're here you can do that, because like you already have the fans, they will pay for you. But like, do weird shit, like do what you would like to wear. I don't know, do something. It doesn't need to be expensive. Like you can buy some cheap ass white tee somewhere and just like sign them super big with a tag, or you have a friend that's like likes to do cool stuff. I don't know, like do something different. And that's also something that you, like, I've noticed, so at least in Sweden, I'm not gonna say that it's something that's international, because I don't know, but at least here, like people get a lot of money, and they can like actually earn a lot of money just from doing weird merch, like stuff that's just different, and not just only that basic shit. And now I'm not just saying you should do a t-shirt, but like, I don't know, do gloves if you want to do gloves. And that kind of goes into the creativity and like kind of doing different stuff as well, and like building up your artistry, not only from, I want to do bangers, I want to do tracks that kind of hit here, but more like, what artist are you, like what do you want to. And that goes in a lot, and I think you hit the nail exactly there with like bringing something to people's lives, like actually giving them something else than just another banging track on the top list. Like, what do you want to, like, if you can, what would you actually like to give them? And then you start there, like
exactly. I think that's a great place to start, because just like you said earlier, like you could be the best at replicating a favorable sound right now, but if you don't mean anything, if you don't stand for anything, if you don't have a real point of fucking view, it just, the rest of it just falls flat. It just falls away, because they're like, it's a cool song, but like, and I'll listen to it passively, but I'm not gonna be a diehard fan for this guy, because like, I don't know what
and
he really stands for.
You might add the track on your playlist, but like you don't even know what the artist, like who he
like,
is, where's he from. I don't know. It's like, yeah, it's a nice track, I'll add it, but like you don't really look into it. So yeah,
you want those people that are going to jump through the hoop. You want those people that are going to take the time to like put their email address on your website just for news. Like that person,
exactly.
That's a diehard fan. So like, how can you serve them? How can you? And once people start thinking, hey, what can I give to the community? That's when things start to reciprocate. You know what I mean? And various people do it in different ways. They may be like, well, Jay-Z didn't do that. Jay-Z just rapped about his life. Yeah, but Jay-Z actually didn't just rap about his life. He told stories about what was going on within his community to speak to them, to say, hey, I know what you're going through, because I've been through a lot of that same shit too. So it's about finding that balance of like, hey, yes, you are trying to get your own views out into the world, but it's reflective of who you are and who your audience is. It's not just, hey, this is me, this is all I care about, fuck you. Sometimes that does work though. So it's, you just kind of have to pick your lane, just like you said, whatever it is, zone in on it and just do that all the way.
Absolutely. And I think you kind of said something interesting there as well with the JC point of view, but like just being able to kind of, if that's what you want to do, like you said, like if that's where your aim is, kind of, okay, of course you can do it. But I think you'll, as a person or an artist, outside of the artistry, as a person, you will enjoy the ride so much more if you're doing it for something that is like, if at least you have something else than just like, I want to hit the charts. There's something else there, you will enjoy that ride. And the end goal as well, so much more than if you just go for, I just want to make the money. Because then basically, you can go become a lawyer. I don't know, but like,
Well said, man. Well said. Well said. All right, man. Well, like I said, coming down to time here, I like to do this last little plug session. So tell me a little bit about, what you're working on that you're super excited about. Where can people contact you? If you want to shout out the socials, please do. If not, no worries. And then lastly, this is kind of my Jesus and Mero question. I'm not sure if you guys get that over in Sweden, but what would the name of your personal playlist be?
Oh shit. The name of my personal playlist, it would be like metal, hip hop, old school, new school, fusion, jazz, in your face, whatever you may call it, playlist that Marcos kind of likes, but sometimes he hates it, but he also loves it, kind of shit. And then in parentheses, half of them are my friends, because I would definitely highlight all my fucking friends that are artists and just shout them out. And yeah,
it.
and in terms of projects that I'm excited for, well, I work with an artist that is a very good friend of mine. That's called Snövit, which means Snow White, but in Swedish. Hope Disney doesn't listen to this because
Yeah.
it might be copyrighted. But yeah, and yeah, we were actually we just signed with a booking agency to start like touring this year. And yeah, Corona happened, so nothing more there, but I'm super excited to actually get going with that again, and just like being able to push him. He's for me like one of the most eccentric and like super out there artists. If you want to check it out, it's at snx.vit on Instagram. A lot of weird shit, but mainly like hip hop. I love him to bits. He's a real bro. Super excited for that. And well, yeah, I'm releasing some stuff as well independently myself. It's some old school boom bap shit in Swedish. A 20-track long album.
Love it.
Like, yeah, that's like super old school, classic cuts, all of that, samples, shit. But and so yeah, I think that's like what I'm most excited about right now. I mean, there's not much going on in terms of Corona stuff. Usually we do a lot of gigs and stuff like that. So, well, yeah, excited about, looking forward to being able to go out on the road again and playing.
Definitely.
But yeah, it's a bit of a weird time. But yeah, I think that's mainly the main things. And yeah, of course, man, I'm super excited for Amuse and where we're going, and like the whole how far we've come in such a short period, and how many nice projects we have going on right now, and just being able to be a part of this is super nice. And man, shout outs to you. I'm super happy to be able to be here and talk to you. Super happy that you guys reached out to us. We think that the whole process and everything that you're doing right now is just amazing. So yeah, major shouts to you and the whole podcast, man.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Like I said, the quick turnaround time, the response, and just the openness, and being able to come on and share everything that you're going through, man. I hope this is the first of many conversations over a long period of time, over long careers.
Absolutely,
here,
man. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I hope so too, bro.
Yeah, man, definitely. Okay, cool. I'll let you go, but again, appreciate you coming through. We'll talk soon, and yeah, man, I'm excited about what you guys have coming up. So I'm sure we'll do an episode 2 and 3 and 4 of these.
Definitely, man. Definitely. Super, Mike. Thank you so much, bro.
Thank you, man. We'll talk soon.
Take care, bro.
All right, man. Peace.